Hi everybody, it's Jody from An Eye for Beauty. Today is Sunday, June 7th, 2020. And this message is for the week of June 7th. And of course, if you're seeing this message at a different date and time, that's okay, because these cards are meant for you when you actually see them. So we're working with the Quantum Oracle card deck today. And these cards are cards that really dig in deep. And with all that is going on, if you're watching this during the current events of the world, I thought it was important for us to really see what's going on. So I chose to use these cards. So I'm going to pull 3 cards, and you decide what number you want to go with, or if you want to watch the whole reading as a whole. So this is card number 1. Card number 2, and card number 3. So what card do you want to go with? Card number 1, card number 2, or card number 3? Let's begin with card number 1. And the card is decrease. And so this card, honestly, I have to show you guys all 3 cards before we start and we go through them. So that's card number 1. Card number 2 is conflict. Card number 3 is fragmented energy. So I'm going to go through each card, but as I've shared before, when doing a card reading, sometimes you have to put all of the cards together in order for the message to really come through in a strong way. And I always look at the angel cards or the oracle cards as if I'm putting together a puzzle. And each card represents a piece of the puzzle. And when I put it all together is when it really makes the most sense. And so the reason why I'm showing you all 3 cards is because they all relate to what is going on in the world right now. If you've watched my messages in the last week, you have seen, and obviously if you're living in the world, you have seen that this last week has probably been, for us living on this earth, one of the most difficult and most emotional weeks for people. It's also been one of the most revealing weeks for so many people. With all that has gone on in the last several months, with the beginning of the coronavirus coming in, and if you remember, corona stands for crown. The definition of corona is crown. So I had said in the very beginning, what's really happening in a sense on a spiritual level is that our crown chakra, which is here, our crown is opening up and truths are being revealed. Now, of course, everything is in perspective, so everybody's truths may be different. Everybody's personal truths will obviously be different. So if there was something you did not deal with, let's say you're in a relationship, it's not a good relationship for you, it's not for your highest good, but you continue to go back to it, things are going to start to show themselves to you during these last few months to show you that it really isn't for you. And you have to be gentle with yourself and forgive yourself, but maybe you should have never gone back into that relationship. Or it could be the opposite, showing you reasons why you did go back. We each are all dealing with our own stuff, okay? But on a global level, as you can see, a lot of truths are being revealed. And then, if we take this a little bit deeper, what it's also showing is how people react to the truth that they are seeing, third eye, the veil is being lifted, the onion is being pulled back, things are being revealed to us. How are people reacting? Each individual person is either taking a very reactive stance, but are they in judgment when they do so? Okay. So if you've watched my videos this week, you will see that a couple of times what came up, conflict. Now it's a different deck and it's the same concept, conflict. So we're going to start with the first card. Now that I've given you a summary version of what the cards mean, we're going to go to the first card. And the first card talks about the cycle of decrease. Now think about it. For the last several months, things have decreased. You may have lost your job. That could be an example of decrease. Or your decrease in terms of maybe like getting out there and meeting with people. You're in your house more, so you're decreasing the amount of time that you go and you do things. Decrease could also have to do with emotions. It could also have to do with your energy. Maybe you have a decrease of energy because of all the emotions that are going on in your world, in your personal life. You feel depleted, so you have a decrease of energy. Know that, first of all, this too shall pass. Okay, that's the first thing. This is something that we are going through now. We are living in the year 2020, and in numerology, we are living in a 4-year. And what happens in a 4-year, very simply, I'm going to not get into detail, but what happens is all the structures, all the foundations need to be broken down to the ground, to bits and pieces, in order for them to be built back up, brick by brick. So I want you to visually imagine that. Brick by brick, these buildings, these foundations are being built back up so that they are sustainable in such a structure, so that it really supports you personally and obviously globally. So that's what's happening right now. We have a decrease in the economy. We have a decrease maybe in our finances because we're not receiving money or we lost a job. The children are having a decrease in how they're learning. They are not learning to the capacity that they deserve to be learning, some may say. However, at this time, everything happens as it's supposed to be happening. So there's a reason. Can you look at this and say, well, why is this happening? Can you ever step back without judgment and say, what am I learning from this? I know for me personally, I have learned less is more. And although it was a message that I was receiving for years, basically when this first started, I felt to myself, like a sigh of relief. I don't have to run back and forth to dance every day. I can enjoy my house. I can enjoy my silence, my solitude, my quiet. I can enjoy my children. We don't have to feel like spread in 10 different directions. We can enjoy the time that we spend together. We can enjoy the meals that we share. That's a perspective that I had when this began. I don't know what you had, but it's something to think about. So the first card is decrease, and maybe it's a cycle in your life where you are feeling a little bit of a decrease. Just know that this too shall pass. So that's card number 1. Card number 2, which is the most significant because it keeps coming up, is conflict. I'm going to show you the card again. Look at the boat in the middle of the ocean, right? And there's a lot of conflict going on in that picture. The waters are coming up, the sky, it's a tornado or whatever's going on, not a tornado, but a storm. And this person that's on the boat is trying to keep it all together. As I had shared, if you didn't watch on the last video that I did, when there is conflict, yes, look at the conflict, but I also don't want you to engage in it if it doesn't feel good. If something makes you feel bad, it's something you want to look at for yourself. Are you creating more conflict, like a cycle of conflict, by continuing to get involved in the conflict? I'm human, and there are many times as I'm scrolling through Facebook and Instagram, well, more Facebook because people write more stuff, and I'm reading this stuff and I'm thinking to myself, I don't agree. And I want to share my perspective, but then I have to take myself back and say, do you really want to share your perspective? Are people going to hear what it is that you want to say, or they're going to keep in their one-track minds and they're not going to be open enough to understand where you're coming from? Because that is what I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot of this divisiveness. Not many people are open to all perspectives. So what happens? There's conflict. There's conflict starting from the president, how people feel about him versus how they don't feel about him, all the way trickling down to all the things that are going on right now. So I invite you, if you pulled card number 2, right now there is conflict. That doesn't mean there will be conflict forever. Ask yourself how you feel when you engage in the conflict. And if you don't feel good, it's probably a good idea to step away from it. Because what might be happening is card number 3, fragmented energy. Fragmented energy is energy that's all over the place. You don't know if you're coming or you're going. And I have to tell you that this card happened to me a few days ago. I felt all over the place. How can I help people to heal? How can I help people to feel better with all the conflict that's going on? And you might be feeling that too. But then I had to realize it's not my responsibility. I am responsible for me. That's really it. I'm responsible for how I choose to look at a situation, the perspective of the situation, and how I want to or not want to react. I would say I'm also responsible for helping to teach my children that, but really that's where it ends. When I share these weekly card readings for you, it's really to help and serve the community, the collective consciousness, but it's not my responsibility to have you understand what I'm saying. That's each individual person's responsibility. So when this card comes up, and if you chose card number 3, that means your energy is fragmented. And it could be in your personal life, or you could be feeling what's going on in our world right now. So I want you to understand, I'm going to show you the card again. Here's the other puzzle situation. Look at the pieces of the puzzle, right? And they're all over the place. And again, we have like clouds and dark sky. And in here we have clouds and dark sky. So right now we're going through, in our world, conflict. And you're a piece of that puzzle because you are part of humanity. You are part of the human consciousness. You have to ask yourself, where do you want your energy to be? Do you want to engage in this conflict? It's only going to create low energy for yourself. Do you want to be part of the problem? Do you want to be part of the solution? Sometimes being part of the solution is staying back as a witness silently. Silently does not mean that you don't have an opinion, that you don't have a feeling or a stance on something. It means that you are using your free will in order to determine for yourself what is for your best interest for your highest good. So please know that. Don't let what you're reading on all these different things, or the people that are telling all of us how we need to feel, that's not true if you look at it in a higher perspective. And if you're watching this video, you understand higher perspective. Do you want to be part of the problem? Then you're going to continue to have fragmented energy. I can promise you that, because it's not going to feel good. Or do you want to be part of the solution? Listen, if you are feeling like you are adamant about a certain thing, okay? If you're feeling that and you need to get it out, because what happens with energy is if we have all this anger inside of us, it's taking up space in our physical body. You might be experiencing it through pain. You might be experiencing it through like an emotion that you can't let go of, or a heaviness by the heart chakra. But what I invite you to do is write about it. Write it out. Get a book, like a notebook or a piece of paper, and just write how you're feeling. And then what you can do is you can burn it. And burning it is helping you to release that passion that you have for it, fire. You can put it in water, which might be a great idea because it's an emotion. And what water represents is emotions, and you're like drowning it in the emotions. You got it out of your physical space, but you put it on the paper, okay? Or you can go bury it in the earth. Or there's also air. You could like rip it up and just throw it in the air. Your choice. But I invite you, if you picked card number 3 or 2 or 1, really, if that's going to help you to serve you in feeling a little lighter in what's going on in your life, whether this is a global thing or a personal thing, please understand that it could be either or both, because we are each, as a member of the collective consciousness, bringing it all together. We're all one at the end of the day. Remember, love is the highest vibration. How can you give yourself self-love? Well, maybe it's about writing how you feel and then getting rid of it, and then getting it out of your physical space. I hope that this serves you today. It's a very heavy week that we have just experienced, and I'm sure it's not going to end going into June 7th week. But if you take anything from this card reading today to help you, because that's what this is all about, I hope that you feel lighter going into June. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay healthy.